we are going to focus on the early years a little bit for now. When should a parent now consider registering their child to start school?
Formal schooling within CBC starts at 4 years. Sometimes as parents, we would want to take our child to school earlier than that.
Yeah.
But research shows that by age 4, around age 4, they are ready to start formal learning. And that is why we have PP1 and PP2. And what we do at pre-primary 1 and 2 is basically activities. Not necessarily the way we
Academic.
would do, not so academic, but that's why we don't call them subject as such. We call them activity areas. So we have language activities. Children can talk about their names, name things around. When you go to mathematics, they have mathematics activities. So they'll be doing things that are activity oriented. If they are counting, for example, they can count maybe how many fingers they have. So those are activities, as opposed to 1 + 5,
exactly,
which should come much later.
Okay, that is a really big shift, and I think an adjustment for parents who maybe have an expectation that their child should be doing something at a certain level. But it's clear that the child is learning through these activities. Even right now, I just feel like their attention span, their interests, they're difficult to put on at a desk with a worksheet continuously throughout the day to do that. What should they do in those years in preparation for this child to start PP1 at 4?
Well, if parents want to maybe take them to school earlier than 4 years, they can only join a playgroup. So playgroup is mainly play.
Yeah.
So although we have some maybe teachers who have no idea how to run a playgroup, but playgroup should actually be play. Children go there to play, interact with others, but it's not like a formal,
structured
learning. Structured learning will start at grade at pre-primary 1 when they are 4 years. Remember, we used to have baby daycare before. So this time we are only calling it playgroup. So they can remain there with the playgroup until they are 4 years. Now they can formally start pre-primary 1.
Yeah, and playgroup is just dependent on whether the school has an allocation for playgroup. It's not something that is within the structure, is it?
Well, playgroup, it's not structured, but it's within the school.
Okay.
The school can decide what type of activities that will be running.
Yeah.
Sometimes the teacher who is managing the children may be creative enough to come up with a number of activities without necessarily like starting pre-primary 1 at playgroup, because most teachers may have no idea what kind of activities the children need, but still they can come up with different activities that they can do at school. Maybe they can play with crayons. They do different things, not in a structured way, but at least the teacher knows what they are supposed to be doing every other time. And probably even report to parents, because they can maybe take a picture of what the learners have been doing, and then over time they can show the parents that since your child came here in playgroup, they have been able to do this and this in terms of play. But it's not it's not a formal level like PP1 and PP2. Okay. And remember, some could be younger than even 2.
Yeah.
They may be at different levels.
Yeah.
So here play is also more of in terms of an individual child.
Yeah. And they are learning. Yeah, because we always say that I think maybe we look at play as something that happens separately, and then when you finish playing, you start learning. But really in that play, in them interacting with other kids, in them having those conversations, interacting with materials, they are learning, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there's more to discuss in the early years, but you've mentioned something really interesting. And I think that is such a major part of the system and how it functions. And that is the current backbone of it, which is teachers. When we were having this conversation online, a lot of the concerns were, but are the teachers trained? Are the teachers able to actually implement what looks really good on paper right now? And you are charged with a lot of the training work that has been done with teachers. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about how well the teachers are equipped to implement this.
The government has a well laid out plan on how teachers should be trained. And it has even gone ahead to review the teacher training program so that the teacher at the end of their training, they'll be well equipped to handle CBC at different levels. One way the government has done this is it has reviewed all the teacher training programs and phased out certificate levels, and all teachers will be required to do a diploma, so which runs for about 3 years. And those who had certificate before, they are supposed to upgrade to diploma level, and they have been given some like 1.5 years to do that. So other than that, the government through TSE has come up with what we are calling teacher professional development, where all teachers who have been registered with the Teacher Service Commission are supposed to go for this training. It's called TPD, Professional Teacher Development. So even those who have had some form of training in CBC are required also to attend this training. And what this training is doing, it's exposing teachers to the CBC and what is expected within CBC. So there are those who may have done teaching before, but this program is actually updating and upgrading them to be able to handle CBC. And remember also the government has been running trainings since CBC was introduced, and they do it every now and then. Like every holiday, the teachers have to attend. So private school teachers also need to attend these trainings. Otherwise, if they don't, they may have a problem implementing the CBC. Yeah. So teacher training has been the curriculum for teacher training has been well laid out. Yeah. So it's upon the school to make sure their teachers are properly trained.
Okay.
Yeah. Those who need to upgrade, they upgrade. Those who need to enroll for the TPD, they do it. So it's the school to rally their teachers to join these programs.
Okay, so the onus is on the school to take this up, and
because if they want, because we are not gabbling with the CBC learning in school and so forth, because we need all learners to be exposed to the same thing across the country. So teachers must be trained the way they are supposed to be trained, and it is well laid out by the government. Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Now I want us to dive headfirst into the early years. So, we'll just dive in with a few questions I received also from a lot of the people from the Playroom online. What are some of the learning areas in pre-primary?
Okay, so we have a number of them. We have mathematics activities. We have language activities. Then we have environmental activities. We also have what we call psychomotor and creative activities. So psychomotor is basically outdoor activities, and creative activities has art, craft, and music activities within it. Then we have religious education or religious activities. Religious is takes care of those who are the Christian education, Hindu religious education, and Islamic. So those are active. They are carried out in form of activities. So the learners at PP1, PP2 will mainly be having activities, but within those so-called the subjects.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when your child goes off to school at 4 or 5, what they are essentially going to do under each of these pillars is, if they're doing math, it is almost entirely focused on activities around math.
Yes.
Yeah. So part of these activities, and the thing that is hilarious and at the same time, sometimes you really feel for the parents with kids in that. My kids are still fairly young, so we've not really had to navigate this period for too long. But the parents now are highly, highly involved in the system, more than they have ever been. And there's a lot of confusion around that. I mean, several mom groups, and it's either Sunday evenings or whatever, you will see people exchanging notes, sharing the dolls that they've made, talking about, a random broom in their sitting room that they shouldn't forget, asking, oh, how did you make your car? And it is quite literally a bunch of parents discussing homework that they are now very much a part of. Now, in that regard, I find it extremely purposeful and rewarding, just not only in the relationship between the child and their parent, because you are now spending time together.
Yeah.
Your parent is very observant and is very aware on what you're doing in school and the learning areas you're covering, because they could easily extend that even when it's not homework. If there's something you've discussed, that principle, you could extend that into other areas easily, other areas in your life, because that's what your child is doing. So, and also connecting the parents to the teachers, because we have to work as a team.
Yeah.
The other side of it is parents who are saying, I don't have the time to do this. It is impractical to expect me to maybe come from, there's one parent who said, I'm a single parent, I work a 9 to 6. I have to get home to make sure my child is fed, that they're in bed at the right time and they get their rest. But somewhere in between, I have to do a certain activity with them. Now, a lot of people say, okay, some activities are simple. One person said they had to cut like a fruit and talk about, this is a half, this is a quarter. But then there are some which are more involving, where you need to collect something from outside, and maybe the parent has arrived late. So how would you advise parents navigate this new phase in life they're in now, and just still make sure that they don't take anything away from their kids' learning?
Well, I believe the school should take the responsibility of creating awareness among its parents on what is expected when their child joins pre-primary 1. It's the responsibility of the school to make sure the parents understand what is required. Because again, you find there are things that the parents are required maybe to provide, and they are finding it maybe odd that, why are we the ones who are doing this CBC or what is up? So it's the school to ensure that the parents understand what is going, and also the teacher involved. That communication between the parents and the school is very important, because this shift from 844 to CBC needs to be understood, and it is not an instant thing. It takes some time. It's a process. So every now and then, let the parent understand what their learner is expected to do, say within that term or within that year. And then also schools need to plan well, so that they know the resources that the learner will be required. Because what is happening due to lack of planning, you find that the teacher bumps into something that was supposed to maybe to come from home or something. Then they ask the learner to bring it tomorrow. So parents feel bombarded, ambushed But if the school plans well, they'll know the whole of pre-primary one, these are the resources that we need. So they might source for them early enough so that the parents don't feel ambushed. Yeah.
The parents' buy-in is so important. And now just talking to you and understanding the principles of CBC and what it aims to achieve, I truly believe that it's a system that is very rewarding for the kids right now compared to what we had before. It is positive, but parents just don't know. They might reject it or feel like they want to bring back 844, which is a sentiment that has been echoed like with the nanny at home and with other people I've had conversations with, because they're just seeing it as, I'm the parent who's doing all this work. No one asked for my opinion and whether I would be able to shoulder this. I don't know what's going to happen. And with that lack of information, they are going to push back. They'll push back on the school. So even if the school is looking to implement CBC as how it's intended, if a parent suddenly feels like, how come I'm just seeing my child making things every day, and they don't understand how useful, how much work their child is actually doing, getting creative and doing that work. I'm just seeing my child making these things every day. I don't see them writing. I don't see them what sort of a school is this? The school is ultimately a business. So I feel like there are situations where they do certain things to appease the parents. How can we close that gap? How can we close it? Because I don't think there is any way that it can work without the parents seeing the value that this is bringing to their kids and actually playing their part in this whole ecosystem. So what would you tell parents who truly want to understand and support their kids' learning? What resources are available to them right now that they can, access without waiting for the school to organize these forums for them?
Well, there's a lot of information on CBC that is available. KICD posts the curriculum designs on their website. So if your child is in grade 1, you can go and check or even download the design and see what they are supposed to learn within that period. So we cannot, as parents, we cannot dismiss CBC without having the facts in our hands. We don't dismiss something before we find out what is it about. So normally, as human beings, we are resistant to change, but change, we say, is inevitable. So it's upon I think school, they bear the greatest responsibility to create this awareness so that, when you are getting into something, you want to understand, what is this I'm getting into? If you are looking for a school for your child, you need to know what does the school do? What makes this school unique? So parents need to be empowered in such a way that they can be able to tell whether this school is actually implementing CBC the way it's supposed to. So how does that happen? Information is available on KICD website. There are so many forums that are being held every now and then about CBC. So let's make it our business to find out what it is that we expect out of CBC. We don't dismiss it or say, the learner is making this thing at home. I didn't know, you were not consulted.
Yeah.
I tell you, before CBC was rolled out, numerous consultations were done. In fact, there were even forums that were set up so that anybody who wants to go and make a contribution can do. But simply because I didn't know there was a forum like that one, I cannot come and say I was not consulted or I didn't know this is what I was getting into. So parents need to get this information from the right source, and I can tell you KICD is the one that develops curriculum in Kenya. So it is the ultimate agency that we need to get this information from. And there are people working within government. If for example, I wanted to to have more information on CBC, government offices are open to public. You can even go there and find out what is it I need to know. These trainings that happen for teachers are open. If I'm a parent, I may even go there and attend a training so that I get to understand what is it I'm expected to look out for, to know. So this information is not private, and schools are not withholding this information. It's available. So parents have also a responsibility. Just like you go to any other professional, like a doctor, you need to understand what is it I'm having a problem with. What is my problem?
What are you treating me for?
They tell you this is what we have checked and this is what we have found. So the same case with the teaching profession. Teachers will be able to tell you this is what your child will be going through and this is what we expect throughout this term, and you'll be expected to do this and this as a parent. So there is that engagement, and it's not closed to anyone. It's open. Parents need to work with the teachers closely. I find some schools, they even invite the parent to sit there as the teacher does their thing, so that they can observe what their learners are going through. So wanasoma while parents are seated at the back there. They can even do things with there. So it's not, schools should not be closed to parents. They should be open, so that if I want to spend the day in school, I can go there and see what the teacher is doing and what the school is up to. Those kind of things will expose the parents to CBC and understand. So it also calls for the school to be doing the right thing. Because if I want to spend time with my child today to understand what they have been going through, then it means the school must also be ready to accommodate the parent within the school
like any other. I mean, I think you're right. It's very difficult for us to remove ourselves and say, okay, I have now sent them to school. It's as if they don't exist until they come back home. At every single stage, we had handed education. That's how we've lived. You hand education to the school.
Yes.
My responsibility is to feed my child, keep them alive, maybe teach them our family values and how to be polite and all those things, but have nothing to do with these other areas that they need to learn. So we are also unlearning that way of education. And so what I'm getting from you is, all right, so if I'm a parent who's interested, my child is about to start school, one, take the onus of talking to these schools. Ask all these questions. These questions you have right now that you are maybe living up to, we'll see when it happens. Ask those questions in as detailed way as possible. If the school's response is not helpful, then you already know that is probably not the right place for your kid. Number two, do your research, and we have a lot of places that have this information. So the first thing you mentioned is KICD, who develop this curriculum. So you can go and download even, what are they called?
Curriculum designs.
Yes, the curriculum designs for your kids. So you know with each term or with each grade what to expect from your child in that. What should they be able to do at the end of it? What are some of the activities that they'll be doing? You'll be able to even prepare better for these things that a lot of parents are struggling with right now, which is, certain materials are needed. So that's the second one. And I know you or your organization also has resources that can be helpful to parents when it comes to CBC. Yeah, so also visit itpd.ac.ke and check out what's there.